When the internet launched, and I'll use retail and e-commerce as an example, there was a lot of retail businesses who were what I would classify as laggards. Said people would never buy things online. And it is true that certain categories were later to buy online than others, but it's also true to say that those businesses that said that and still have a little bit of that, quite frankly, the businesses that are struggling. Late adopters thought the technology wouldn't work, thought people wouldn't transform to a different way of buying things, right? Do you see that happening with AI? Do you see that curve moving quicker? Do you see some businesses thinking this is never going to happen, it's never going to be a thing? Or do you see that curve of adoption, whether it's for personal use, whether it's for business use, being quicker? Do you see an analogy there, or do you see it being different?
I'll go right to something that I found really kind of strange as a young person, but then I started to get used to it, and then I started to really think about how I could embrace it. I used to look at a lot of charts. You can imagine, I sat in a business asking millions and millions of questions, and pretty much the outputs were charts. And I used to be absolutely amazed at a couple of things. The first one was, as soon as 30 to 60 people started to come through, sometimes the charts wouldn't move. So the first 30 to 60 people that came through, and maybe the percentage was, what's the chance of you buying a mobile phone in the next 12 months? Not only were people saying no, but they would go to the effort of saying, only idiots have mobile phones. I'm never going to have a mobile phone. A mobile phone is for losers. I never want anyone to call me. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. Only wankers have them. And I would be always surprised at one, the negative people were always willing to put in more effort and tell you what was wrong, and that the percentages would never change. But here's the rub, here's the really big insight. The question was always at a point in time. And so every single person who says AI is not going to affect me today is absolutely right. Absolutely, because it's not going to do anything to you today. Now, in a year, some industries will be feeling it, for sure. In 5 years, if you went back to that same person who was sure, because I saw every one of those charts go from absolutely not to how often am I going to be buying a new phone at nearly 90-something%. And you would think, I'm really glad I got to witness that. But the really scary thing was, it was over a long period of time. Here's the difference. Once, getting information to people was pretty hard, and it took a long time. 2, a huge amount of that information was made by very few people. Outside of chitter chatter and conversations and town squares and coffee shops where people could get together and share ideas, they read a newspaper, or they watched broadcast television, or they listened to the radio, and maybe they bought some magazines. And so, what's fast? Fast is, I think if something was significant enough that happened in the world right now, billions of people could find out within hours. So that is enabled because of the internet. So the truth is that the internet guarantees that AI, which again, is the ability to make an incredible amount more data, and that's what people aren't thinking about. Because if you're using it, you're making data. And so if you're now having all of that data being made for you, and in addition to that, all of that data that's being made for you has a purpose and a job, and you have one of these organizations, and it doesn't ever leave you, it never sleeps, and all it does is make more information, and the information it makes only gets better and better and better. And it only gets better and better and better because you get to see it. And so your trajectories become more confident, and the speed in which that will take hold is enormous.
So you're saying the real tangible value that people will see from AI will be sooner, quicker, therefore?
It is guaranteed to be, because the way the world has moved to the internet, and it's taken 20 to 30 years, has now guaranteed that anything that can, say, be a view or an aspiration, but I like to call them life scenes, where you're the star of the show. What does that life scene look like? Are you a person that's frustrated that would love to do more? Are you a person that would love to have more purpose? Are you a person that's sitting in a second or third world country looking at YouTube now on your own mobile phone, and thinking, how do I get into that world? All of those things are going to be, all of those aspirations, which is what it takes, are going to drive incredible amounts of new outputs with 100% dedication towards whatever those aspirations are. And that is not trying to corral people. That's not trying to tell you some hyperbole rubbish. That is absolutely going to be fact.